Welcome back to the Black Techies podcast, where Black culture meets the world of technology. I'm your host, David, aka Pat Castillo. Follow me on Twitter at Pat Castillo. Follow the Black Techies at the Black Techies. Of course, there's facebook.com/the Black Techies podcast. Speaking too fast, I need to stop doing that. And of course, we do have a Patreon page if you want to support what we're doing. Patreon.com/the Black Techies. We're there. Please support us. We would definitely appreciate it. Uh, this is going to be an interesting podcast because not only do we have, the regulars, we have brand new guest, Miss Leslie Moore. Thank you for coming on. You all will see her again later on this week. We have a Black Techies spotlight episode just about her. She's doing some great things when it comes to women. So, but if you want to listen to that or watch that, you got to subscribe. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast using any of your favorite podcast apps. And of course, there's YouTube. I still hear myself. I don't know how to fix that, but we're just going to roll with it. All right. So before we start, Leslie, go ahead and feel free to do a quick introduction. Let our listeners and watchers, I keep saying that, viewers, get to know you.
I'm Leslie Moore. I'm 37. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, but I'm currently in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I'm a girl that likes IT, gaming, and all things geeky.
All right. See, that's all I like. Short, sweet, and to the point. But if you want to know more about her and what she's doing, like I said, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that episode dropping this week. But all right, we got her, we got Roberto, we got Dominique, we got me. Let's get it started. So, a whole lot of stuff happened in gaming, right? Both Microsoft and Sony, they released their prices and availability for the next gen consoles. Uh, and then, after Sony, released their stuff, they're like, oh, now you can pre-order. And then that whole cluster F happened, and no one could really pre-order anything. And then just today, as the day of this recording, September 21st, Microsoft has acquired Zenimax Media rather, who owns Arcane Studios, Bethesda Studios, Machine Games, and they make all the
ID
uh,
software.
id Software. So that means Doom, Fallout, Dishonored,
Rage.
Wolfenstein,
Elder Scrolls.
Elder
Elder
Scrolls.
Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls.
All of it is owned by Microsoft now. So like it's a lot that happened. There's a lot to kind of wrap our minds around. So what I'm gonna do is make it a little bit orderly, maybe kind of sort of. So we'll start with our guests. We'll start with Leslie. Like, what do you make of all of this stuff?
I think Microsoft pulled a boss move. They wanted to see what would happen when Sony released their information about the consoles, let the release happen, let the pre-sales happen. As pre-sales were winding down, this had to be in the work for months, and it had to be kept under wraps so tight. But the fact that they came out, okay, now that Sony's had their moment, guess what we're doing, and we're trying to change everything on its head. And good luck with that, everybody.
Yeah.
Right, right. Mr. Dominique, I know you're an Xbox guy, so I really want to hear your opinion on this.
Biased.
So anybody, I am unapologetically so. In fact, I had a post this week, and it's funny that I had that post now in hindsight, where I said my love for the Xbox makes me understand how people could be Republicans. We're not a political podcast. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but basically,
See,
what I was
Leslie, I
saying
told you,
was,
keep saying that, right?
what I was saying was,
You say it enough,
like,
it'll stick.
even if, even if you know you wrong and you know what you want ain't the best thing, you've picked a side and you're gonna stick with it. And that was how I felt about Xbox after the console reveals. Like, they're both very similarly spec, so there's no like overwhelming powerhouse difference. There's no difference really in power. Not no difference, but it's a negligible difference. And as we all know, it'll be several cycles into this console before developers are able to really get a hold of what the console is able to do anyway, right? So power being a negligible difference, the only real difference is the games and like what the thing can do, right? Last generation, we saw Xbox try and make the Xbox your media home, and it works as that, and so it's fine if that's what you want to use it for. But as we found out, gamers really want their console to play video games, believe it or not. And
Mhm.
so last generation, Microsoft fell behind from an exclusive standpoint, and it looked like we were also going to. I say we, Team Xbox. It looked like we were going to fall behind again because Miles Morales, God of War, all of the Sony exclusives, the fact that they get downloadable content for one of the biggest games in the world way before the Xbox cats do, the fact they can play the beta first, all these little things that really don't really matter when you think about the macro of everything, but things that could move the needle. If somebody's undecided before this announcement today, you probably, if you're truly undecided and you could care less, you got to pick the PlayStation unless you're like super into Halo. Like you got to pick the PlayStation. So now with that being said, there are people, Elder Scrolls Skyrim released like 10 years ago, and that is still being played today on every console that it can be played on. And not just a little bit, it's cultish the way that people love Elder Scrolls. So even if you take away, and that's not to mention Fallout, right? Fallout has its own swag. Like, not to mention all of the other little things, right? Like the Prey and the what's the game? Dishonored. Like all those little games like that are just moments. Those aren't console sellers, but those are little moments to get you through until Bethesda finally drops their next Elder Scrolls. Listen, if they got one, or if they got one in the canon, if they got an Elder Scrolls in the canon, yo, PlayStation's done, B, and that's all I got.
I don't know if they done, but I see
I mean,
I see Mr. Joseph shaking his head.
nah, fam.
I mean, like I get it, and I was talking to my friend Christian. Shout out to Christian, what's up, man? I was talking to my friend Christian all day about this because he's a big Xbox guy, even though he owns both. He's like, I play my PlayStation 4 once every now and then. I just finished Horizon Zero Dawn, so it's like I get it. It's a great game, but it's like I don't understand like why console exclusives even have to exist. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be cool if you could just buy one and play everything. Obviously, capitalism won't allow that. But for me, I'm still like, okay, so you got Bethesda, so I can play. I already have the games that Bethesda already. I mean, besides like again, Fallout and Elder Scrolls, like I played on 360 and I haven't played since. I wasn't wowed by any of that. And like I was like, oh, okay, that's cool from a business perspective. And when I actually buy an Xbox with Game Pass, I'll get to play stuff as it comes out, or maybe I'll get to play it for free with Game Pass. But like I wasn't, to me, like, do you have a God of War? Like the teaser for the next God of War was better than this entire Bethesda acquisition from a gaming standpoint for me. Like if you don't have, again, maybe you have a new Halo, maybe you got a new Gears of War, maybe you got another, I don't know, anything. I know there's a new Fable coming out, but like, had you acquired, I don't know, if you acquired CD Projekt Red, then yes, I would be like, oh, okay, it's over, it's a wrap. Because if you're telling me, like, remember you thought you were gonna play Cyberpunk 2077 on the PlayStation? Psych, Xbox got it now. Like, I would concede. But like Bethesda is a good acquisition. It's not the haymaker. It's like it maybe puts you on equal footing because honestly, and I'll let Dominique even answer this, like what console exclusive does Xbox have that is your killer app? That's the thing that you go and buy an Xbox for.
Yeah, and I think in my, just to piggyback on what Roberto is kind of offering up. I mean, I think it was a. If I would equate this move to something, it would be a 3-pointer under 2 minutes left to tie the game.
Yeah.
And essentially, Xbox has unfortunately, sorry, the present company excluded, Dom. I know you're a fanboy for Microsoft, but those guys have habitually not really taken third-party acquisition seriously, and it took them kind of taking their lumps the last two iterations of this cycle to figure that out. And Bethesda is a heck of a move. It's not going to affect current arrangements that are already in place with third party games that are already in production for all the platforms. For obvious reasons, but it's a start. And the thing about it is that they have to maintain this. I mean, and in order for them to do that, they're going to have to really come with something really lucrative for indie game developers, as well as some of the other bigger platforms that are still out there, to really be encouraged to work with them, as opposed to not working with the opposition.
Let me just jump in there real quick and remind everybody that Microsoft Studios has also acquired 343 Studios from Halo. They acquired Double Fine with the genius Tim Schafer, Ninja Theory, like Rare. They have all these, and I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, dang, I forgot they had these places. What happened?
And don't forget. Go ahead. My bad.
No, go ahead, Leslie.
Don't forget they acquired Mojang in 2014, which could have been a boss move just for Minecraft alone.
Yeah.
And they left it exactly alone because they didn't want to touch what was already a gold mine.
Yeah. I mean, Minecraft is huge.
Right.
Forza is huge. Like the Initiative is like their answer to like Sony's Santa Monica, but has the Initiative put out anything close to Uncharted?
They haven't put out anything yet.
No.
I mean, like even if they were to tease something, like I'm not one of those guys. I had a regular Xbox, I had a 360. I was about to buy an Xbox One, but then they were like backwards compatibility, so I'm like, I'll just wait and get the other one. I'm never going to be one of those guys that doesn't have as many consoles as I can have, because the experience is very different on all the consoles, especially when you get into the indie stuff and the smaller games that I like playing here and there. But like for AAA studio titles and stuff, I'm trying to think of Crackdown. There was Braid, but that was it's on PlayStation now. There was Cuphead, that's on PlayStation now. Like every time I'm like, I'm gonna go buy an Xbox, I'm trying to think of what it is that's gonna draw me to get it, besides just being able to play online with people who have Xbox.
Yeah. Hey, really quick before we continue with our current topic, there was something that came to my attention that me and our co-host Dave were talking about offline prior to the start of this podcast. For those of you guys out there that have been following HBCUs and esports, the CSL League, the Collegiate Star League, the MEAC version of that league is now in play, and it's being covered by outlets like Twitch, online. All you gotta do is look for it. Just a heads up, the schools that are participating in that league are Johnson C. Smith, Morehouse College, Florida Memorial University, Lincoln University, Coppin State University, Norfolk State University, North Carolina Central University, Central State University, Paul Quinn College, Prairie View A&M, Alcorn State University, and Jarvis Christian College. Stillman College and Lemoyne Owen College are also listed there as being participants, but we haven't seen any profiles for them on the C Star League site as of yet. But if you're out there and you're following those streams on Twitch and you're a fan of competitive gaming and you're a fan of HBCUs, look for them, follow them, because this has been something that's been in the making for a long time, and it's a reality now. So I just wanted to get that out really quick. I meant to do that before we actually got started, but the excitement of Microsoft trying to do this boss move kind of took over. No biggie.
But no, on that note, real quick, Johnson C. Smith actually announced that they're partnering with Riot Games, who makes Valorant. And so like that's pretty big right there, partnering with one of the biggest.
League of Legends, one of the top three most played games in the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
literally,
doing
literally about to change the internet for a League of Legends. Like they're trying to literally change the way the internet works to facilitate LOL.
Well, wouldn't it be funny if they got rid of net neutrality because of online gaming? Just saying.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, didn't they already get rid of it? A G Pi signed. I mean, like the
Trying.
FCC. I mean, there's a couple states that sued or whatever. I think it might still, but as far as I know, it's done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the FCC has had to roll back a lot of what was originally put out. Now, this varies depending on locality, but yeah. Um,
Yeah, but if it's federally not protected anymore, the only thing that's stopping companies from and companies are already zero rating stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like we've already like the negative part of net neutrality has already come. I think we just it's there's so much crazy stuff happening that we it just that kind of flies under the radar. But like
Mhm.
literally the fact that AT&T owns 90% of media and then that stuff's free on their network and you get, you know what I mean, the fact that Disney Plus is free for Verizon for you, like all that stuff was part of the net neutrality. Let's not do this, guys. And they were like, we won't do it, just let us get it, let's get net neutrality out of here. And as soon as it's gone they do it, but meanwhile there's an orange dude that's like literally killing children. And so we're just like, we got bigger fish to fry, you know. But going back to the topic, I
yeah.
don't think you guys are being very fair. I don't think you guys are being very fair to Microsoft. No, that's not true. You guys are being fair. They were bad last generation, but with the stable of studios and no produced content from either side for the next generation, there's no reason to believe that into it, but just off wheel guns, no games from Sony first party like that are playable, and we have no games from Microsoft first party that are available. But the fact that Bethesda is not considered Microsoft first party is a bigger deal than y'all are giving it credit for. And just because you don't specifically play Skyrim, or you played it 10 years ago, you're like, that game. Very few games have the legs that game has. You say what is like what's Uncharted? Uncharted you play through one time. Yes, it's an amazing experience that you go through. I played. I'm
there's
really
people
a PC gamer. I'm a just
there's people still playing it.
if the exactly what playing what you talking about Uncharted?
Playing Uncharted 3 with the multiplayer or playing Uncharted 2 because it was the best one. You know, it's free.
Really? Well,
Yeah,
I'll say this: Are Are they modding it?
I mean, you can't really mod it.
yeah, I was
Are
say you can't
they?
really.
Is
I
there
mean, but you know,
like that's what I'm saying? Is the,
You must be going through a
yeah, I was about to say you broke
Yeah,
up.
we're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to figure out where you're
Yeah.
traveling from.
I mean, I'm looking at some of these first party games like Zoo Tycoon. They could make that again. Uh, Fable Anniversary, World of Tanks. You know, like they got Microsoft Studio has some good games in here, man. Doritos Crash Course Part 2.
Well,
Wow.
yeah, really quick for our listeners out there. Dominique was gracious enough to join our podcast during the course of him traveling cross country.
the start right now.
Really? Wow.
He's back.
We lost you for a little bit. Must be on a Microsoft phone. Was you got a Windows phone over
Well,
there? Now let me
All right,
stop
so
playing. Those phones actually were
before,
good.
I think one. So if for our listeners out there who follow our podcast, you know that I put out like I'm trying to do weekly a weekly segment called Just Processing, and like for the last one, I talked about they next gen gaming is here now what, and so I kind of spoke about the different strategy that Sony and Microsoft, are doing. And I think this whole thing by buying Bethesda, one, yeah, is to get more exclusive games because Microsoft knows that people buy consoles for the games, right? If you don't have any compelling first party games, especially single player games, people are you're not going to sell this many consoles. But I don't think that obviously that's not Microsoft's point in the long term. What they want people to do is subscribe to Xbox Game Pass. They just announced, like when they announced this, when they bought Zenimax, they also announced that they have 15 million subscribers to Xbox Game Pass. That's 5 million more than last year. So
That's dope.
that's their play. So imagine being able to play, all new Doom games, all new Fallout games, all new Elder Scrolls games on Game Pass on day one with only paying $10 a month. That's
Yeah,
it. Like that's the
that's a
play
good
right there.
draw.
That's what
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
their
Yeah, that
long
was the
term
move.
goal.
that's the draw.
yeah, and that's as a person who didn't have an Xbox this gen, that's the type of stuff that Game Pass is selling to me as me going back and playing stuff that was previously available that I didn't get. Which I mean, there's good chances that there will be stuff that I never played before that I was like, oh dang, this is really good. I mean, maybe it was multi-platform and I just didn't get it. Maybe it's an exclusive and I didn't play it because I don't play a bunch of games as much as I used to.
Now,
Um,
I got some just thinking about it, just what was an exclusive game on Xbox but ended up getting ported over. The original Saints Row was exclusive only to the Xbox 360.
yeah,
But when the
I played
popularity
that.
kicked up, I
Yeah,
played it too.
yeah, I
Loved
love
it.
that game.
That was between
Grand Theft Auto
one
on
and
there.
three, they were my favorites. But if you think of it that way, what if they go back and revamp all their old original games that they didn't think that they ended up porting over to new systems? Now what happens if they go back and revamp and remaster Saints Row One?
Yeah, if they bring out another Left 4 Dead, I'm in there. Like they got me. Like I'm
Also,
in
Yeah,
it.
that game was
Destiny
so fun.
Destiny wasn't
Oh my god.
exclusive at first too.
Yeah,
Right,
I remember that.
right. So there's a lot of games that they used to have that were exclusive that a lot of people didn't know about. And
Hmm.
so they're like, okay, why is Saints Row 2 starting everywhere? What happened to 1? Well, if you didn't have an Xbox 360, you didn't play 1. So you never
Just like Mass
understood where
Effect.
it started.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just
So
like
it's
Mass
games like
Effect.
that.
Yeah,
And also you got to
Yeah,
think,
Mass
just going back
Effect.
to True. And if you even go back with the deal they have with Mojang, they had some of the content that they ended up doing for Minecraft. They did some Nintendo. They did a Mario only mod, so that was a thing. So you got to think it's not just Sony getting involved in this. What's going to happen to Switch and PC ports? What are they
yeah,
going to do specifically for people? Because I'm a PC gamer and a PS4 gamer. So
yeah.
what's going to happen for the PC market? Are we going to get the same access if we play it, or is it going to be Steam content? It's other things that I'm trying to look for, especially like, okay, if I can't get, I love Fable. I saw the new Fable. I'm like, okay, if I have to buy a new Xbox, I'm
Yeah.
getting Fable, and that's the only thing I really want. But now
Yes.
I'm kind of like, what happens if they start to? Would it be able to be PC related as well?
Game is for people.
Yeah,
So
and
just
that's the thing is like I know their strategy is like we're worried about the games more than selling the consoles. Like we're not
right,
worried about selling a bunch of consoles because we know if you have I on my Galaxy Note I got a thing from Samsung because Samsung loves pushing stuff on everybody. They're like download Game Pass and play whatever games you want right now. We'll give you $20 in free money or something. And I'm like, oh okay, yeah, cool. I can play that right now. Um, I gotta obviously have a computer, can play that right there. It's a smart strategy by trying to make sure that your software is everywhere and accessible and well known. And I mean, of course, you get paid for that regardless. It's just one of those things where Microsoft is not winning, trying to win the console war the same way that we think about it anymore. Like they're not going to be. I don't know if they're going to ever outsell the PlayStation, but I
Right.
don't think that's their goal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they don't really have to because I mean Sony isn't broke anymore. So it's not like Sony's selling their New York buildings anymore and trying to get trying to make sure they can at least stay afloat by selling their consoles either. Um, but I think it's going to be an interesting next gen war because I think that for the most of us we're just like I just want to play. Like if I have to buy, and I'll say that as with small amount of disposable income privilege, like if I gotta buy both of them, I'll buy both. But you're a 13-year-old kid and you're like, dang, I can only buy one.
Yeah.
Your parents are probably gonna get you the 299 Xbox.
Right.
But actually, to that point though, even that is a subscription. Like you don't even
Sure.
have to pay $2.99 for the Xbox Series S. You can just pay
34.99 or 22.99.
$25 no $25 a month for the S and $35 a month for the X.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and if you pay that, you get the console, you get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes
EA Play.
xCloud, so you can play on your Android phone. You can play on the Xbox. You can play it also includes Xbox Live, so you can play online, right? So you get everything. So like they're really trying to make sure that everyone who wants to play an Xbox game can play it, even if you don't have a console. Okay, that's cool. So there was a tweet, right? Someone tweeted Xbox. They were like, they were honest. They were like, Xbox, I've been with y'all for the beginning. I had all the Xboxes, right? But for this one, I'm gonna go to PS5. Do you know how Microsoft responded? The official Xbox Twitter account responded to that. They were like, cool, that's cool. All right, thank you for being with us all these years. But hey, there'll be, if you still want to play, there's always Xbox Game Pass for Android. So it's
Yep.
like,
Yeah, we still gonna get you.
Microsoft's like, hey, as long as you subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, we don't care
Yeah,
where you
Yeah.
play.
yeah,
And I think,
exactly. We get money.
yeah, and I think there's something else to be said about the unintended effects of what we've heard for all the other, alternatives out there that are non-next gen gaming platforms, namely cloud gaming.
Mhm.
Um, this is now that the news is dropped with PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series. The stuff is about to hit the fan for some products that are out there that were expected to really be revolutionary, quote unquote, but are encountering some difficulties in terms of getting third party titles, in terms of getting generating an interest in their own ability to make games for those cloud platforms. And yes, we're talking about Google Stadia. So that's going to be interesting. Me being a cloud gamer as well, shout out to Shadow, best PC cloud gaming port ever. Thank you. I'm gonna be frank. It's gonna be what Google does and some of the other cloud gaming services. I don't really count GeForce Now amongst that because I think they have their niche really sewed up in terms of being among PC gamers, because that's just an extension of that. It's not something that's really considered to be a revolutionary alternative to buying a console and being part of that next gen nomenclature. So the biggest thing here is, if I'm Google, I'm kirking out, because I'm like, man, what are we going to do now? The news has dropped. We really ain't getting no interest in third-party games. Even our indie developers aren't really doing the stuff that we need to do to attract games to that platform. And, those old questions are going to come back up. Is Google going to cut and run? Is Google going to be like, okay, well, this was a good project. Maybe we can, just walk away from it quietly and let it die on the vine, that sort of thing. And me personally, as somebody that was really looking forward to cloud gaming, I'm a little disappointed, because normally when the big boys release news like this, if you're really interested in competing in the space and offering something that's going to be a really viable alternative, you offer it. And right now you've got, the hype around the prospect of cloud gaming as a competitor to next gen gaming was, okay, well, you ain't got to buy a console, overhead to worry about in terms of doing that. You just pay the subscription, and you'll have access to all these titles. You don't, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
The platform that even though I'm kind of standing for them right now, but the platform that I use the most right now is Shadow, and they're unique in the sense that they offer an entire PC experience platform, not a game. You load your own games. It's just like buying a high-end, PC without having to put it together. And that's something that is for the people that I've really kind of questioned in the community about it. It's been a real successful draw. Those guys may be immune from a lot of that. Everybody else, I don't know, man. It's gonna be.
I wonder if Stadia still has something going for them, but I think they might. So I have two things. One, they might have to try to shift their business model to be more like Microsoft, where instead of you buying games on Stadia, you just pay $10 or $15 a month and you have
Have
access to
access to
all these
everything.
games, right?
Yeah,
So
which
they
is a
might,
smart
but
way to do it.
Yeah.
the only question I have about that business model, and I've seen other people raise this question is are the developers, right? So if you spend all this money making a game only for people to only have to play it for $15 a month, how are developers being paid from this? All right, is Microsoft subsidizing all of that just for the hope of getting people in the door for subscriptions and making up that money? How are developers making money and Microsoft making money when people are only paying $15 a month
I
for
don't
this?
think I don't think Microsoft is going to be able to. I don't think they're going to be able to do all of the games. Like Cyberpunk's not going to be on Game Pass. I don't think.
Mm-mm. It's not. It's
So
just not
you're
going to
gonna
be
have
too
to
big of a
drop. You're
title.
gonna have to drop the 50 bones for that. But if Bethesda drops a game, yeah, that's gonna be on Game Pass. But that's Microsoft and spent the money already to make up for your fifty
Upfront.
dollars per game. Microsoft's already spent that money, so you're whole already. All you have to do is put out a phenomenal game and keep the name of your studio alive, right? So I just, as long as big studios, and they're not gonna stay. Most big studios aren't even thinking about being exclusive anymore. There's more money in being on all platforms, including the Switch, including the App Play Store. If you have the kind of game that ports well to mobile, they're also going to do that too. So, my iPad, I got some fire games on my iPad that really were they were console exclusives in the generation before, and now they can be played on the iPad. Civilization 6 is a whole
Yeah.
game
Mm-hmm.
that was $50 in the App Store that I paid $50 for, and I play it way more on my iPad than I will ever play. I will never cut it on my PC again.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing in terms of um, the effect it's going to have on certain types of PC gaming, um, the really large, expansive projects that are out there in terms of games. The first thing that comes to mind immediately are games like Star Citizen, for example. That's something that I've been super excited about since they actually started developing modules of the game and having people buy ships and all of that. The question is whether or not interest in those types of games or those types of projects are going to wane. And that's going to be a really interesting thing to see as we see these consoles come online and we see more developers start to port specific things that were meant for PC to these high-end consoles. So like I said,
I think that you'll have to start like those big budget games will have to start becoming first party exclusives just to
right.
support the cost of development. Because like you said, you can't really start a $100 million game without knowing that it's going to be successful unless you got somebody with $100 million to say, hey, please make this game for my system. I'll give you $100 million for it up front, right? So I
Right.
don't know how you do.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do like an ambitious project right now if you're not part of one of the bigger studios. Not that they're not doing it, but they're mostly indie projects and mostly like more creative games than big games.
Yeah. And I think the other thing about in terms of that, I know being a fervent member of the first person shooter community, I see a lot of first person. Yeah, I see you, Roberto. Uh, uh, I see a lot of free first person shooters that have always been kind of a staple for PC gamers that are starting to make those ports to next generation games and next generation consoles, rather. And that's going to have a big impact on that market, because developers that have been able to put those games out and get residual incomes from companies that are willing to carry those games for nominal prices may not be able to do that anymore.
Mhm.
So that's something that's really going to be, at least in terms of that specific narrow genre of game, that folks that are on PCs that are looking for economic value that may not want to buy into, say, Call of Duty or buy into a franchise that's going to cost you 50 or 60 bones to get into. I mean,
Plus all the DLC that you have to buy to even act like you're
yeah,
gonna play any of those
exactly,
games now.
exactly.
So microtransaction heavy now.
Yeah, that's gonna now. My biggest thing, even with the acquisition, the fact that were willing to put down $7.5 billion on it, though.
Yeah,
They got it.
Really, was
That's nothing to
Bethesda
them.
really worth that much?
Hey,
It's
look,
nothing.
they got it.
I
They
Sony
selling.
mean,
Sony ain't got them dollars, but Microsoft got them
They
dollars.
selling them. They selling
well, I
them
mean, but
Surface Duo phones. They got it.
Yeah, for real,
But
bro.
I mean, but at the same time, I know they got the money because Microsoft has entire other entities. There's an enterprise in businesses. I mean,
Mhm.
operating system, phone,
Their market
Office
share on
Online.
Office, like their market share on Office productivity, ensures that they have unlimited money to play with in this
Right.
game. But but this is not an earner for them. I don't know that Sony's their video game division is an earner for them either. I really don't know why these
It's
cats are doing
I,
this
I think it
because they're
is.
not
I think
making
it
Yeah,
money.
is.
it's
a big
definitely
influence.
earned.
It
It is.
is.
Yeah,
It is. But
it's
I'm
definitely
just
earned.
That's why
saying seven and
they
a
don't have a
half
choice but
bills
to
a
sell
much.
consoles.
Yeah,
Yeah. Look,
exactly.
as
Nah, but
somebody
they
who
lose
used to
money
work for
on every
Sony,
console.
look, as somebody
They
who
lose
used to
money
work
on
for Sony,
every
trust me when I
console.
tell you that PlayStation is serious business inside that house. But the
Oh, I
stupid thing
believe it.
was, it was never. I worked in like like TV, stereos, that sort of thing, that division of
Right.
it, and they would tell us all the time, "Oh, there's a new demo for things out," and I would be like, "Why don't we just hook a PlayStation 4 up to the TV because it's new?" And they'd be like, "No, we're not talking to those idiots from the video game department. We're doing this stuff. Like they're their people, we're our people."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Why would you not talk to each other?" Because Samsung and Xbox been being strange bedfellows for a long time to try and get on top of this stuff, and y'all not making your game mode, which now they finally are. They're making their TVs compatible with the PlayStation game mode and all this other stuff, and 8K TVs specifically for the PlayStation 5. And I just, like it's
yeah.
like Leslie was saying, like I'm trying to figure out. I was like, okay, $7.5 million is a little bit. Oh, billion.
Yeah, billion. That's like,
Oh,
okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to think of in my head. I'm like, how much did Sony pay for Insomniac? How much did
Not that
Sony
much.
pay for?
And in the words of the
Much.
immortal philosopher,
Dude, you can
I
pay
can't
for you.
remember his name right now, but he said, "It's not tricking if you got it." I
Cliff.
believe that's what he said. It's not
I
tricking
believe that would be
if
T
you
Pain.
got it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about the
So,
I'm just thinking about the third world countries that could be funded with that with Insomniac. You know,
oh, dude, listen,
bruh.
there you can't play that game because everything like, though. Mayor
Yeah.
Mike Bloomberg spent like 300 million on his presidential campaign that lasted like 2 months, and it's like, yo,
So
Cass is out here struggling for this 1,200. You can send 1,200. He could have sent 1,200 to every citizen 2 or 3 times,
Would you have
and
voted for
not
him?
even touched the 100 million. Would I vote? No.
and that's a,
That's a waste.
You can't buy my vote.
That's a
You
waste.
can't buy my vote unless you're gonna
You can
pay
buy
some of the
mine.
payoff for me.
You can buy mine. You
Bye, man.
eliminate my debt
You can buy a
and
verbal
put my name.
agreement.
You got my vote.
later later
Buy
to
my
be
vote if you
explored
take care of these student loans.
later to be
What?
explored on.
Look, that's what my wife said. My wife said, like, if Trump allowed the government to pay off my student loans, she was like,
Yeah.
I
No.
might.
You're not so bad. You're not so bad, Miss
It's like
Trump.
cringe.
Listen, my credit
Uh,
score went. Went up 200 points overnight. I like this Trump dude, man.
exactly.
It
I'd be like,
was like,
I'm voting for him, and I'd be like, honey, don't vote for him. Kids, I got to kill enough to vote now. That's two no's and one yes. We making business moves over here. That's a
Man.
firm decision, baby.
But kind
Yeah.
of as far as like how Microsoft is doing this, I mean, I think someone alluded to it. Like they have like, so they're trying to get their businesses to kind of feed into each other. So like obviously, their cloud gaming runs on Azure, right? But
Mhm.
Azure is also used by a bunch of businesses, including
Yes.
Sony, actually.
Yes.
right,
and so
right.
it's like a positive feedback loop. They can get people to use Azure. That's more money in Azure, which also powers xCloud, which also allows them to buy studios for to put on xCloud and Game Pass and all that. So it's like
Oh
The
yeah,
positive feedback.
it's
That's how
Also,
the
they can
that's
license first party content to
yeah.
Sony.
oh yeah.
Like, there's
And,
no guarantee that the next Elder Scrolls game doesn't also come out on PlayStation. But
yeah,
every copy that's bought puts money right back in Microsoft's pocket.
they said.
Well,
They
yeah,
said they said they would
and
do it on a game by game basis.
yeah,
right,
Right. It's gonna
and
be case by case. If
right.
this case makes more money everywhere, it's going everywhere. If it
yeah,
doesn't
Yeah.
look like it's gonna sell
Oh,
as
it
well
always is gonna make more money everywhere.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like PlayStation is using Xbox's cloud-based gaming format, and then Xbox is using PlayStation's disc-based format because remember, Panasonic and Sony are the ones that invented Blu-ray.
Blu-ray, yeah.
Everybody that puts
Yes.
Blu-ray in anything, they getting $1 off of it.
yeah,
So like,
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
like as much as you're like, man, we're over here fighting, in the trenches, yelling about Xboxes and PlayStations, and they got Halo, Master Chief fighting Kratos and stuff, and cartoons and stuff, and both of them dudes is like, they're like,
They're both
you
sitting
should
there
be,
like Birdman Arrow.
dude,
Yo,
yeah,
dude, let me,
exactly. They
speaking
like
on
each other
that, Master
hard.
Chief
yeah,
will work Kratos. By
dude,
the way,
let me just say this,
Or you
just to kind of piggyback off of what Dave was talking about in terms of external pressures that may be driving Microsoft's investment in in their gaming industry and how all of that stuff is interconnected. As somebody that works with Amazon Web Services, in their day job, as well as Microsoft Azure, that pressure is real.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
it's real in a very global sense because doing our jobs now. I know Dave can kind of echo this because we kind of work for indirectly for the man. Um, it's Azure and Amazon Web Services are like yeah, yeah, kind of like that, but they're like the Hatfields and McCoys of the IT industry right now.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things where we don't associate with you Hatfields. We's
man.
McCoy.
This is a black podcast. You're supposed to say the Bloods and the Crips, man. What you talking about?
Hey, we're staying away from the
or
negro
the
trophy,
Gladyses versus the Patties.
dude. We're
Hey,
staying,
hey,
we're
real quick. I went on the Microsoft website just because I was like, dang, I could just pay for mine over time. And I went and looked and I was like, oh, you want 24 of those $35 payments? Oh no, I'm not paying $39 for a console. Nah, y'all can keep that.
fam.
Like, I might as well go get it from Aaron's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interest free.
But you know what? They're gonna make money off of it. You know why?
People will buy this.
People are gonna buy it.
I used to work for Aaron's. Trust me, I worked in the IT division
Yeah.
for them, and I saw a lot of numbers, and I was like, what the play right now? The PlayStation 4 is I think $49 a month for 24 months. So like, just think about the math on that. Imagine you in the middle of playing Elder Scrolls 6 or Fable 4, and somebody knock on your door and be like,
Hey, we need that.
"Get that console off you, ma'am."
Yeah.
And
But
they're
I
gonna
mean,
really mess the
that
game up if they start putting kill switches in the consoles.
Oh my god.
Bro.
You haven't paid your monthly bill. You
That's
can't
gonna be-
access Xbox.
That's what I thought. I didn't know this was credit based. This the $34 a month. They're still getting financed. I was looking into it today. It's still financing, so everybody can't do it because everybody's like, "Yo, I just go up there and give them $34 for the first month. I'm taking that junk home." I said, "Man,
No,
Microsoft
man.
gotta stop you from updating your console
Yes.
or something if you don't make that payment." But no, they don't. They don't have to. They just report it to your credit and they move on. That's one $400 hit. They'll take for all of the extra consoles that people will buy like that couldn't afford the $500 price tag up front.
Yeah, and the thing
Because
is,
there's a lot of those people because we're still in the middle of an unprecedented unemployment crisis. This is not a political podcast, though.
it's never a political podcast.
Yeah.
But,
45 heard you, man, and he's like disrupting your feed.
Yeah, as soon as you start talking about that little orange dude, man, his phone be like,
We'll see. We'll
Dude,
see how it
right
turns out on Skype. Like sometimes Skype will actually get what he said, and then
Yeah.
like, cause I'll go back and listen to it. I'm like, oh, I guess Skype did get it. Okay, but I don't know. Maybe that's the way the way Skype works. I don't know. But cause like if I was just getting the recording off my computer, then it would sound kind of weird. But I don't know. We'll see. But also, I have one more question before we kind of wrap up. So like as parents, right? If if you're buying this, like Leslie, you have a son that likes to play games. Like if you're a parent, what would draw you? Just I know you're a gamer, so you kind of know what's going on. But like as like the average parent, which one do you think they would be more drawn to? I mean, you got the Xbox with those $25 a month payment plans. You ain't got to shell out 300, but you got the PlayStation over here with all these good games. And I don't know, like as a parent, where
Uh, as a non-gaming parent, they're going Xbox for economics. Straight up. As a non-gaming parent. As a gaming parent, like me, personally, always gonna be. I've always steered more PC, just economics again. However, console-wise, I've always been PlayStation because I'm not into a lot of shooters, and I wasn't really a fan of too many exclusives on Xbox. I'll wait until that price drop, and then I'll be like, I'm gonna get it anyway. I know I want it anyway. I'm just gonna wait, but I'm gonna get the console I actually want first. Then I'm gonna see which one's left and just
And
make
your
it
kids
happen.
end up playing whatever you play.
Right. And realistically, he has an Xbox 360 that he still plays. He's still on the 360. And then you split the PS4. He has a Switch, and I have my PC.
Yeah. Shout out to the 360 being the now the official de facto game of 8-year-olds around the globe.
Yes, sir. Yep. My 9-year-old
Y'all
on
get
that.
it. I mean, it would have been a
kid be all over
PS2 or a PS3. It still would have realistically been the PS3 if it wouldn't have been for, Sony just like, yeah, you want to put Linux on this? How about now? And just how about now? So
you want to play PS1 and PS2 games?
Oh, you want to mod your stuff? How about that? No, we're not.
Yeah,
we don't
some
do
people
that.
some people may not remember at the beginning of the PS3, you could play PS1 and PS2 games on there.
Right, and then even with the PS2, if you had the right equipment, you can play imports.
Yeah, you can break it.
Oh yeah.
If you had the fatback, all you needed was a little hard drive adapter, and you out here playing Japanese imports.
Rival schools.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes, sir.
That was my
rival schools.
That was.
Actually, I think we all have kids, right? So like, are you all like as a parent, like would you prefer one over the other as far as like what you would get your child, or
well
do they even play games? I mean, I don't know if Kendi plays games.
The easy thing.
My little girl,
that's kind of a sensitive topic around parents, rival parents. So it's one of those things where she's definitely interested in games when she's with her dad. When she's with her mom, she puts on the face, and it's like, no, okay, I'm good. I'll just wait till I go to dad's. So, but I would try. I mean, if I'm a parent and I'm a non-gaming parent, like Leslie said, I'm leaning toward the most economical solution. In this case, that would be Xbox, simply because if you're thinking along practical terms, there are enough titles that are going to keep that kid occupied that are within their age group. Especially, all the Lego stuff. Yeah, exactly. So, just from that perspective alone, I think that it's for a parent that's just looking to get this stuff done and get it out of the way, and not necessarily being a nuanced gaming parent. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. As a gaming snob myself, and in being a connoisseur of gaming and wanting to indoctrinate my kid the same way, I would have to say something different. And I mean, yeah, I'm also a PC gamer. I'm also a person that likes testing out new platforms. I've talked about cloud gaming and being able to do stuff like Stadia and Shadow. Shout out to Shadow again, power of the people.
They're gonna have to owe you some royalty fees for all this free promo you giving them.
I know, right?
Hey, bro.
Really?
Hey, bro. it's worth it. It's a quality product, man.
You would buy some stock, something.
Herb sponsored by Shadow.
Already did it. Oh, excuse me. But it's you know, you're going to see that type of dichotomy between regular folks that are making this decision and folks that are immersed in the hobby of gaming. So, I mean, like I said, if you're a parent, if you're a kid and your parents are non-gamer, you're going to point at the Xbox because they're going to look at it and they're going to make the cost assessment.
$600? Oh, $300.
Oh, okay.
And to be fair, even with the Xbox Series S, like a lot of people might be trying to paint it as like, oh, it's the weaker console, so it's not gonna. No, wait. Before you think that, it technically GPU wise is not as powerful as the Xbox Series X. But remember that it has an AMD Zen 2 like CPU in there. It's like it has the same CPU, and so like if you try to play like older games, it'll run them just fine, right? And then even newer games that come out, Microsoft is trying to kind of market it as like a 1440p kind of console. So like you'll still play 60 plus frames or whatever. It'll just be at 14. It'll only be at 1440p instead of 4K.
Yeah.
I don't really care about 4K. Honestly, I have a 1440p monitor.
Yeah.
I don't care about 4K. So I have a 4K TV downstairs, but I prefer 4K when I'm watching things, not necessarily playing games, right? But before we go, I'm going around. I want everyone to give like a reco, like your game recommendation, or maybe something you've been playing. And I'm gonna let Dominique go last on purpose because he already knows why. But so for me, I'm gonna recommend a game that I actually just beat, I guess you could say, today. It's called BPM, or beats bullets per minute. And so if you ever played a game called Crypt of the Necrodancer, it's like you have to move and fight to the beat of the music. And if you've ever played Doom, put those together and you have BPM. It's a first person shooter where you have to shoot and reload and dodge on the beat of the music. It sounds crazy, but it's like the funnest game I've played in a long time. And if you're a musician, especially,
Violent Guitar Hero.
Right. I mean, it's like playing Guitar Hero, but like you're shooting things, right?
That is so American. That's American as hell.
When you really think about it, right? But like it's only like 15. Well, right now it's only on PC. It comes out on console next year, but it's on PC right now on Steam for like $15. I did. If you like that kind of stuff, download it and play it. So I will caution that it's a roguelike game, meaning that there's seven stages or whatever, right? And like you go through each stage. It's like they're all like randomly generated, and you beat the boss and you go to the next stage. But if you die at any of those stages, you got to start all the way back over at the beginning, right? So
that sounds like well, go ahead. That sounds like really, really familiar about a game that I was looking at. But
yeah, I mean they're called roguelites because it's based off the game Rogue way back in the day, where like if you die, you like lost everything, you got to go back to the beginning. So the hook is that it's a fun game to play. It sucks to die, but it's such a fun game to play. It's like, oh well, I still like, and like as a musician, like I'll try out like different beats as I'm shooting my gun. Like I'll try to do syncopations and stuff. Like I'll try to get all creative with it. But if you're a musician, you know what syncopation is. But anyways, but no, I highly recommend it if you're into like, yep. Proud band head, hashtag AOB Nation. But
Miracle Band baby.
I highly recommend bullets per minute. All right. I'll let Leslie go next.
Oh, I've been playing a couple games, but I just got the I've actually been going through the entire Kingdom Hearts series all over again from first to last. I haven't touched 3 yet. But I've been literally playing all of them. I'm at 2.5 right now. I'm almost
all 40 of them?
All the games. Every single one. And then eventually I'm going to get to 3 because I don't want to be quite disappointed yet. I've heard things. I don't want to be as disappointed yet. I want to remember all the best and then just be like, okay. And I've also started playing Phoenix Wright again. The Phoenix Wright.
Oh, yeah.
series of games.
Yeah.
I played that for the first time on DS, and the storyline is phenomenal. If you love the storyline, definitely get into Phoenix Wright. It's mystery, yet it's like, oh, this is painfully obvious. That's what you're looking for. No, it's not. Anytime you have a game that made Marvel vs. Capcom 3 uh, add Phoenix Wright as a character just off popularity, you gotta love the game.
How does he attack?
He literally throws files at you,
What?
and then
He's a lawyer. What?
Maya comes out of nowhere and just helps. Objection! It is the most random set of fight moves you'll ever see in your life. But he's an MVC3 character.
We
And
needed Marcus on this one to tell us how lawyers fight.
It's if you get used to it, it's interesting. I had a team that was Phoenix Wright, Amaterasu, and Iron Man. That was my squad for that game. Believe it or not, it works. It's weird, but it works.
Iron Man, Wolverine, and Spider-Man for life. I don't know.
That's a barrage attack team right there, boy.
Oh yeah.
All right, Mr. Joseph.
Oh man. First of all, shout out to Miles Morales. I wanted the whole game, but we're gonna have to settle for what we get. I have been, and I know my wife is like every 5 seconds that she's like doing something, I'm like, I'm gonna go play Ghost of Tsushima. I'll be right back.
Yes.
And
I haven't started that yet, but I will.
When I tell you, that's as somebody who's played a bunch of story-driven narrative, third person narrative-driven immersive games, I have never been so emotional like playing something that I thought I would be completely disconnected from, because I'm like, samurai, about to go in here and just slice people up. But Jin Sakai, like the main character of the game, from the onset of the game, he tells you that he is the best swordsman, period. And it's not like you have to like level up to earn that title. Like everybody bows when you walk everywhere. Everyone calls you my lord. Like they understand that you that dude. The fighting in the game is fantastic. It is. I mean, you remember like when you first played God of War and like tearing through people with the Chaos Blades, and you're just like, Jesus, this is terrible. That is what that feels like, especially when you counter somebody. I mean, your sword is a weapon. Fear is a weapon. You can literally kill somebody so bad that someone else sees you killing them and runs away. But there's also that you can choose whether or not you want to be honorable, but it's not, it's not like good or bad kind of, like with most of the games that you play that they let you be like Infamous. Like you have to pick whether or not you're going to be a villain, and it's very obvious things. It's some things like, are you going to face these other samurai head on, or are you going to hide in the tree and shoot them with an arrow, or are you going to throw smoke bombs and jump from? It's a lot of little nuanced stuff that the story is very, very moving, and the story kind of pushes you towards one thing or another. And I know it's maybe just me speaking as an angry black man. A lot of times in the game, somebody does something and you like, I'm not gonna let that stand. And you go to go do it, and Jin will talk to you, and Jin will be like, think about your honor. Think about what your uncle told you. You can't just go in here slaughter these people. And like some of the characters come with you, they'd be like, hey, we gotta chill out, man. Let's just sneak around the back. It's like, sneak? I am Lord Sakai. I'm not sneaking around nothing. And you walk up to the front like, hey, who want battle? And you literally walk up and challenge everybody to a standoff where you do these like slow motion strikes and go through people. It is, I can't recommend it enough. Like, if you have any interest in video games or old school ninja movies or like anything that Quentin Tarantino tried to get to and Kill Bill with the duels, like it is so artistic. And sometimes I just sit there looking at it and taking pictures. I'll upload some photos to the collective, but I probably have taken probably like 100 pictures of me just standing there and just being cool. And you get all different armor, and the armors have different things and make friends with a horse. I mean, it's fantastic, man. It is fantastic. So Ghost of Tsushima, exclusive title. There's going to be a multiplayer add-on that's coming for free, where you get to play four-player multiplayer in that universe. And I don't even know how that's gonna. I don't even understand how they're gonna do it, but I'm excited to play it.
All right, Herb, you got the floor.
Well, those of you guys that know me, I'm a big first person shooter and sometimes sports guy. I play a lot of FIFA. Recently, I've been reliving my nostalgia of college football. NCAA college football, NCAA college basketball. On past platforms, but I would have to say, obviously, if you haven't played Call of Duty and Call of Duty Warzone, Modern Warfare, play it. It's arguably, in my opinion, the best battle royal, fighting game, first-person shooter out there, and it's not even close.
I think it's the best. It's the best COD in my opinion so far.
Best COD, yeah. I mean, I would agree.
Is.
It's the best COD ever. It's about as immersive as you're going to get, and there are enough, nuances in terms of changes that have been made to make the game replayable for years, literally. The battle pass system, if they keep up doing it the way they're doing it, I mean, the replay value is off the chart. So that's automatically on the list. The other first-person shooter is a PC game that's free, and it's called The Cycle. The Cycle isn't like your normal first-person shooter. It's player versus environment, and it's a really, really different take on what first-person shooters are. I mean, your strategies are completely different because you have to fight the environment just as much as you got to fight the opponent. You got time constraints that are a little bit different than you would ordinarily find in regular first-person shooters, and you just have to think a lot differently in terms of how you're going to fight your opponent, how you're going to use your environment. Sometimes you may not be able to use your environment. You may have to fight against your environment. You may have to team with your opponent against the environment. It's a really, really, really cool, fresh take on first-person shooter.
I'm downloading it right now.
Yeah, it's a real, I mean, for folks that are used to just running and gunning and tossing grenades and doing mods and releasing explosive penguins into the wild, courtesy of Half-Life, you're not gonna really like this. But for folks that really look for different things in shooters, it's a good tape. It's really something that can, if you're really looking for something different, it's definitely something that's going to pique your interest. And the replay value for it is really good.
Or rather, it was available. Now I don't see. Is it just on Steam or is it on anywhere else?
You can go to the actual manufacturer site and download it.
Oh, okay. Because on Steam,
so-
it says
yeah.
it's not available on Steam.
Right. It's not. Yeah, it was available on Steam for a period of time. They may come back to it, but for some reason, the indie developer and Steam kind of button heads. So they took their ball and went back to their website and are advertising it that way.
It reminds me of Destiny, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are elements of that like that, but like I said, the biggest thing that's different about this is that you have environmental threats that are as big as your opponent that you're fighting. So, what the environmental threat is going to determine whether or not you're fighting against that person, or you're going to have to partner with that person to survive the environmental threat, which is again really, really cool.
It is.
All right, Dominique. Last but not least.
My record is always League of Legends. It's the game that I spend most of my time playing, and has absorbed much of my disposable income over the years. A really cool game I've been playing is Humankind. That game took way more time than I should have let it take. but it was really fun. And also, there's a really cool mobile game called Among Us.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
heard about that.
Yeah, yeah. I've been meaning
I've
to play
seen
that.
videos of
super
that.
creative. It's super
Yeah.
creative. It's 10 people get on, and there's one imposter. You can have as many imposters as you want, but you guys all got to kind of do your job on the ship. And every now and then, you just have to come together and say, "Hey, who's the imposter?" The imposter can kill people, which removes you from the game. You don't get to vote, and then the imposter. It's so much cool stuff. So those are my. I know you asked for one record. I don't really have one good record because ain't nobody playing League of Legends that ain't already playing League of Legends. No new friends. You know what I'm saying? All the new cats, all the youth them, all the little youth them are playing Fortnite, and I can't
Yeah.
do it. So that's how you know how old you are if you think Fortnite is fun. That's how you can tell where you fall if you.
You know what's really crazy? We sound like the video game version of baby boomers.
That's
For
what we
real,
are.
Right.
for real.
We are. If you think about it, we
Yeah,
really are. You don't remember. You don't remember back in the day. You only had 4 lives. You had to beat the whole
yeah.
game with 4 lives. Yeah, you can get an
Yep.
extra life if you get 100,000 points, but it ain't like 100,000 points just come easy, partner.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
youngers are like, so
you're
Y'all
like,
don't know nothing
Now
about
you
having to write
spend
down
ten
your
dollars
game
to
code
get
to go
extra
back
life.
where you were when you died.
yeah.
Y'all
Yeah,
know nothing about
that's
having to have the channel
true.
TV on channel 3.
you don't know about having to write a save code down on a piece of paper. You
Right.
Yeah.
want you want to come back to this 12-hour game? Guess what you got to do? You got to get your piece of paper. Is circle square X23, and then
Down,
you don't
down,
put
up,
that
up.
code in. I'm sorry. Start over, brother.
Yep.
Your little brother threw your little code away. Guess what? Start over, player. Yeah.
It's like
That's the
nobody
worst.
knows nothing about that. Starting Contra with 7 lives and hoping for the best. Didn't know
Oh
any
Yeah.
Lord,
Konami
up,
code.
down, left, right,
Mhm.
BABA. Start. What y'all know about this right here though? What y'all know about that? Hey, get Mookie out the back. He the only one that can make this game work. And he come out the back with his ninja. He like, you gotta put 2 shirts. You gotta put 2 shirts on that thing, and you blow like this.
Yeah.
Two
It used
shorts
to
and a
be an art
long.
to it. It used to be
Two
an art
shorts and
to
a
it.
long.
You don't
I'm trying
you
to
don't know
tell
nothing
you,
about
brother.
having that. Instead of putting a cartridge, you had to put in a card.
Yeah.
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 That's
Writing a
old.
card in there, and if you didn't get the card to work right, now you're playing this little maze game with a snail. So you get a free game even when your game don't work.
And
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this. All of us have had to. All of us are HBCU products, and we've all been a part of that community on campus during the period of time where gaming, was a very integral social part of that community. I mean, whether it's sitting in your dorm room, getting that business, playing Killer Instinct, or taking that L, somebody running an option on you running an option on you in college football, and you can't stop it, and you getting frustrated, or any number of
Man,
things.
both me and Dominic, I already know what is up. What's up in at Boyd Hall?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Me and my boy Johnny ran them streets and them Halo streets,
look,
boy.
man, look,
Yeah.
man. The student center, the student center at Alabama State won me many a Whopper meal and Bigfoot pizza. Me playing Killer Instinct,
Yeah.
and taking folks' money.
Yeah,
So
man.
Yeah.
Going to the student union during my off time during class, we had the Soul Calibur 2 machine where you can have you have your own little profile saved on it. And so
Oh,
you
we
go
wouldn't have
and
been able
run
to
a
do
couple
yeah,
that.
matches, you beat a couple people, you move up, you come back after class, you wonder why you move back
Y'all had an
down.
arcade cabinet at the school. Oh, not at
Look, that's
TUGA.
fancy.
They wouldn't.
yes,
That
sir.
wouldn't have made it. That
What's
That's
wouldn't
go?
have made. We
fancy.
had
What's going
Oh,
to
one
the
That's
side
that's
didn't
Southern?
work.
Southern though. That's
One
we
Southern.
side
had
didn't
ping
work.
Oh,
pong
you went to
They
downstairs,
Southern.
got 2
baby.
campuses.
The ping
Wait,
pong
wait a
was
minute. Hold up.
That's
the ping
fancy.
pong
Southern.
game was
You went to
strong,
Baton
boy.
Rouge.
Ping pong.
Look,
Yep. The
Yeah,
Southern University A&M College in
gotcha.
Baton
I
Rouge,
I had
Louisiana.
to I had to take my
Fellow
Nintendo
fellow swag
64.
fellow swag member. Gotcha.
I had to take my 64 up there and let people have it because I was working 3 jobs to try and afford to be in Morehouse. And thank God for Smash Brothers and kids with too much money, their mommy and daddy's money.
See,
Man,
that was
So
me for pool and refund checks.
yeah,
yes.
I was cutting hair and playing Smash Brothers and getting money. That's how I was eating.
That's wild.
That was it.
I'm mad the refund check is like the shared trauma of everybody that went to HBCU.
Oh, yeah.
Just waiting
That
on that check.
refund
Man,
check had too
boy, you be waiting on that.
much.
Boy, you checking that every 13 minutes. Boy, you be like, doo, 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 doo,
Bruh.
doo, doo.
Look,
No,
and then
see, I
Sallie
had to
Mae.
literally wait
I'm
on the
so
literal
hungry. You
physical
be like,
check.
Yeah.
You be so hungry. No, we had a calm down card, but when it's like you had enough money to get you to when that card, when that money was supposed to hit. If it didn't
Right.
hit, you just hungry. Hey man, you got a pack of noodles I can hold, man,
Yeah.
just till later today.
Bruh.
God, dog, boy, I'm so hungry,
Man,
Man, if noodles wasn't the real hustle of college life,
Yeah.
man.
you ain't
look,
you
man.
ain't
That
had trouble.
I mean
Oh,
the
when you
blessing of
cold with
going
the
to
noodle
Morehouse
game,
was
when you know how to spice up a bowl of noodles, and somebody come, hey man, make the noodles how you make them, man, for me. Come on, do that for me, man. I'll give you a pack.
look, man, we was in there. I was like, hey man, let me get your card because I know you ain't gonna eat in the hall. Man, you don't want that cafeteria food? I'm like, I ain't got no other food. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And they're like, how you gonna think it's you? I'm like, bro, ain't nothing but black men here. Like, I'll put a hat on and just walk because when I was in college, I had a big afro. I'm like, I'm just gonna put give me your Braves hat. I'll put it on and go in there, swipe your card, give me some food and leave. Man,
Yeah.
like that was what it was, man. Like,
Man,
Yeah.
that the two cafeteria system we had in Southern, there was all every other weekend the cafeterias would swap back and forth. If I had to go to the back of campus to go to caf, we sitting there like, are we really that
Man, look.
hungry? Are we are we really this hungry?
Yeah.
Cause
Yeah,
I,
Baton Rouge's campus is huge. I mean,
yeah,
when I was at Alabama State was still an 85-acre campus. It was relatively small compared to what it is now, without the addition of the new stadium and all that stuff. So, you know, out of band practice, I mean, especially if you're
85 acres.
yeah, yeah, you're a freshman and you're hungry, you getting out of practice, man, you checking that pocket, you got pocket lint. You're like, damn, okay, what am I gonna do? I can't wait until CAF open up tomorrow morning. What am I gonna do? You pull your money with your buddies, and it's at that time,
New
you
York Cafe
know,
Deli.
yeah, CAF or Deli, there's always a landmark spot in and around campus where you can go get some wings or something fried
Nah, they
or
used to
whatever.
deliver to us. It was a place called
Yeah,
New York Cafe Deli, and boy, they delivered till 3, 4 in the morning.
yeah.
Man, clutch with the sandwiches and wings and pizzas.
Yeah. In an emergency, if you had a dollar bill, you can hit a Burger King, and that was the day of the 99-cent Whopper.
Oh,
So
we
it's
was
like,
oh
walking distance from a Wendy's, so we used to
and
go down there to that
bruh,
Wendy's.
As
when
much
you
as
had that one friend
I
that
like.
I was the friend with the car on campus, so everybody be like, it'd be like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Everybody
mhm.
either getting out of practice, getting out of late classes, getting out of everything. Leslie, you ate? Yep. If we give you some gas money, could you take us across the hump and
That's
get
all you
something to
needed.
eat?
Take
And I'm
across
like,
them.
if you
yeah.
got, all right, cool. How much y'all got? We got like 350. All right, that's a gallon. Let's go.
And that
Hmm.
was that was that was Uber before Uber was a thing, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
You
that's
you
all it
had
Wish
that
was.
we
one
had
friend
known
with the
about it.
car.
Wish we
Yeah,
had
Everybody
known
going
about it.
everywhere.
yeah. I
But
was that friend.
as much as I enjoyed reminiscing on HBCU lane, we gotta close this up because
Yeah, because y'all
it's
about to
time
hear
to
some
time to
curse
watch some
words.
football.
Yeah,
Back
But
ready. I'm
Xbox.
about to
actually,
say
Yeah, get
although
out of
that
here.
does remind me, maybe
my
we
wife's
should
ready for us to be
have
back.
like just a straight HBCU episode. We've never had an HBCU episode.
We
Wow, in
haven't.
4
Yeah, we
years,
haven't. We
man,
haven't.
we need to do that this year. We're gonna do that.
Yes.
But but all right, we got the kids episode. We got a whole HBCU episode. All right. But outside of that, Dominic, you want to close us out? Cause
Yeah, man.
ready to go.
This is not a political podcast. I'll say again. But this year, and we have about 40 days, 42 days left. I think I did that math right. It might be 43 or 44, around 40 days left before one of the biggest days of our planet's history. And you can think I'm overselling it if you want to. I'm not. Climate change is real. There are some people that care about it, and there are some people that don't. So, no matter how you think about politics, do get out and have your voice heard. If you're curious about either you want more information, some great resources, votesaveamerica.com. Stephen Colbert has one that just tells you about information about your state, absentee voting, when check and see if you're registered, all of the things that you need to do. And don't think just because you were registered last year, if you haven't checked this year, they can just purge you. They do that all the time. They just purge everybody with a name like Daquan or Jamal gets put off the list, and then you go up there to show up to vote, and they be like,
Magically.
nah. They be like, nah, bro. And you be like, oh, okay. And you just go home because you're not that passionate about it. I need y'all to get passionate this year. I'm passionate. I want y'all to be passionate. I want y'all, everybody, go forth, do something good for somebody, pay it forward, be better people to each other and yourselves. Be kind to each other. You don't listen to these people that tell you that you gotta be doing some kind of major boss moves during this. You get through this, however you got to get through this, and everybody try to be there for somebody. That being said, tomorrow, every day until November 3rd or 4th or whenever that Tuesday is, you're closer and closer to the orange dude not being Dave and Herb's boss and not being our president. So, with that being said,
you gonna keep adding that every week.
with that being said, I love y'all, black people.
I'm a contractor, fam.
His name's still on your check. Is all I'm saying.
He's my supervisor.
All right, yeah. With that said, you all go over there, be great, be safe, wear a
Rest
mask,
in peace, Chadwick Boseman.
Yes, sir.
and
Rest in peace to Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Bader
Hey, we
Ginsburg.
lost a real one.
Yes, ma'am.
But and you know what? It's okay to eulogize someone that you disagree with. I follow a group called the New Conservatives. They did that. They were able to properly eulogize Ruth Bader Ginsburg, even though they had philosophical differences with her. It's okay. We are all made in the image of God. It's okay. So
Yeah, same with Scalia. You know what I'm saying? You agree or you don't agree. Put all that aside. Somebody has died, right?
Yeah. And just really quick, I'll be brief because I think Dominique covered all the points, mostly all the points.
Black goodbye.
Yeah.
14 goodbye.
Given what's been happening in the last 24 to 48 hours, particularly as it pertains to how our story has been told here in this country and what the establishment is currently doing to prevent certain aspects of that story being told, take advantage of the technology that you have access to learn that story, to learn the history. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or Miles Morales or what have you. Take the opportunity to be your own objective teacher as it pertains to history, because what we're seeing right now, and like I said, I'm trying not to piggyback on Dominique's thunder, but I am. It's really more important now than it is, than it has been in a long, long time, that the accuracy of specific things are told, the way they're supposed to be told. And, I'm talking about black folk, but I'm not talking about black folk. I'm talking about, that goes for everybody. So, shout out to 1619. Don't worry about the heat. Keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, history happens whether you like it or not.
Yes, sir.
On that note, I would give a hearty hail Wakanda.
Wakanda forever.
Forever.
Sir.